If you have a desire to move to the continent of Africa or spend an extended period of time, you might not be welcome. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you why. Number 6 is probably the biggest point that I could share with you. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I share my experience of living, moving, and doing business here on the continent. I'm also the founder of a community of people that have a desire to live and move and do business here on the continent, and it's called the Africa Investors Academy. We're a community of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and investors from beginning to, beginners to pros, sharing their experience, getting resources, on the ground insights, as well as intense group coaching by me and some of our attorney advisors, investment advisors, and all of the sorts. And we're building businesses, guys. We're building businesses here. We're living our best lives. And if you have an interest in joining that academy, this type of content is for you. There's a link below. We're currently closed on enrollment, but when we open up, if you're on the wait list, you'll be the first to get exclusive access because we're keeping the cohort really small this next time around. So this content sounds interesting. Like this video, subscribe, share it, right? So a lot of people don't know where to start when they're having a decision. They're making the decision to travel, move, do business. But some people are concerned about whether or not they'll be welcome. You may have heard someone knew someone who worked with an African that didn't like African Americans, or you heard that someone came to South Africa and had a horrible experience. Well, you may not be welcome, and it takes a while to adjust. And some of you aren't even aware that you are actually the person that needs to adjust, because much of what you've been told are things that are intentionally keeping you from experiencing abundance, right? Experiencing what the motherland looks like, experiencing what it means to live in the majority, experiencing what it means to where children can be children, to experience what it means to be in a growing economy, in developing countries that actually care about their citizens. I was at an event yesterday, beautiful event to celebrate Juneteenth, and I was telling one of my South African friends about this event, and he said, "Wow, you guys get a holiday but no rights." And I couldn't help but chuckle. And I met an older woman there who is from the US, working in education, and she asked me, "Why are you here?" And I told her all of my reasons, but the very last reason I shared was, we also don't have this thing where we could be in a grocery store and someone decides that they want to have a field day with their weapon and take my life away. And I said it in a different way, but she chuckled. And that chuckle was in fact a nervous chuckle. And the fact that Americans have gotten used to children being brutally deleted and accepted such, that type of mindset needs a shift. And if you're not willing to reconsider everything that you've accepted up until this point, well, you may not be welcome in Africa. And there are a few other things that we're going to go over on why you may not be welcome. So, number 1, you can't live without Amazon. Well, Amazon is actually here in South Africa, and there are some rivals, but other places on the continent that are beautiful, have fresh fruit, fresh food, GMO-free food, offer such an abundant quality of living, maybe minus the availability of shopping and your processed food snacks. Well, if you cannot live without that, you may not make it here on the continent of Africa. Number 2, when learning about other cultures' way of doing things, you constantly reference how things are done in the US. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear about how we do it in the States. Well, in the States, this is like this. Unless you're asked, of course, but it's really quite an immature way to have conversation. And sometimes you don't even notice that you're doing it. I kind of cringe when I see it, but I could tell what is then happening is there's a lack of receptivity. Is that a word? People are less receptive to you when you're constantly referencing the horrors or the better parts of the US in conversation when you're learning about a culture in the country where you are, right? You may not make it in Africa if you are dependent upon the government and other structured institutions to take care of you and your family. So if you're looking for, you know, the food stamps or the benefits or no, you're not gonna make it, and you may not be well received on the continent. Number 4, you believe American imperialism that says America is the best, most safest country in the world. Yeah, if you watch any of my content on BRICS and you haven't debunked that myth, you're probably not gonna enjoy Africa. In fact, they're still welcome you. You know, Africans are some of the, if not the most welcoming people. So you may be welcome, but you likely will not enjoy it. Number 5, you believe that you're gonna fight and get them reparations because they owe it to you. Also refer to number 3. Guys, at number 6, which is the most important, I think, on this list, you're waiting somehow for for America to denounce its racist foundation and treat you equally after they've already shown us who they are, removing affirmative action, removing DEI programs, making it unconstitutional for Black women to get funded by private investors because they're Black women. Listen, there is a beautiful saying in the South African languages that translates to, let's work to find each other. That's a loose translation. But this is something that South Africa can essentially teach the world. But how can they do this? Well, South Africa got its independence from the apartheid government. And in that, there was a clear recreation of the Constitution to say what is right and what is wrong. And everywhere you go, organizations and institutions have things in place so that the history, the past never repeats itself. And that can only be done when a country makes amends with its wrongdoings. And if you are waiting for America to somehow do it, well, you know, you may not enjoy life in Africa, wherever you are, especially in South Africa, where there seems to be this resentment of such to say, oh, well, these people are here and those people are here. Well, there is a harmony amongst the majority of people here. Everyone isn't aligned, but we don't need everyone. We just need a select few that are willing to push the country forward. And if you have an interest in moving to the continent, learning how you can successfully transition, I'm happy to work with you. Get on my calendar. I'm actually heading on a 6-week holiday. I will let you know. You'll actually see where I am when I get there, but my calendar will be closing for the summer. And if you can get a call with me before then and have an interest in joining the Africa Investors Academy, you'll be able to get into the academy before the prices go up and before we limit the amount of people in the next cohort. So get on my calendar. The link will be below in the pinned comment. I would love to work with you to ensure your successful expatriation from the US to your country of choice here on the continent of Africa. If you've enjoyed this content, be sure to like it and share it with someone. And get on my calendar before it closes for the rest of the summer. Until the next video, I'll see you soon.